On this, let's bring in Mehek Cook, attorney and CEO of American Frontier Strategies, and Jake Blumenkrantz, New York State Assemblyman. Great to see you both. Mehek, a Republican convention for midterms, yay or nay? What do you say?
Absolutely, David. Look, this would be a seismic shift in politics. And I'll tell you, it will actually secure President Trump's victory for the midterms so that he can solidify his message. And I think right now, today, we have to focus on Gen Z voters. Polling is continuing to show us that they are willing to go with conservatives, but they actually need a reason to show up. And what better reason than a convention that solidifies our message, that shows Gen Z that we're going to make sure they're not running homes, that they can afford their homes, that there's no more crime on streets, and we're giving solutions, and we're also rising up GOP stars next to President Trump on X, on TikTok, and every platform. So it's not just about It's not just about President Trump and old Republicans today. It's about the future of our party. And I think Gen Z needs to be motivated. It's 10 to 15% that we could actually lock down in swing states. And that would deliver a decisive victory.
That's a decisive yay from you for that. But Jake, I have questions about exactly how it would work. I mean, there are 535 members of Congress, 435 House members, 100 senators. A lot of the senators will be up for re-election. How exactly do you deal with all of those potential candidates? And do you have delegates at the convention that would give their final word on whether these candidates would be primaried?
Look, it's unorthodox, but it's novel. And I think you're going to have a lot of electeds with a lot of voices and personalities who are going to want to step up and say something to the American people. And it's going to be important that they come up with good, solid policies for the future, the vision of the party, showing who the future of the party is. And this gives them a great way to show the politics around every 4 years.
But again, so many candidates would have to be looked over in this. It's hard enough with just presidential candidates.
I think it gives them even more space, not just every 4 years, but every 2, to have that voice.
Let's move on to the Democrats, Mehek. And of course, the wannabe standard bearer is Governor Newsom. And he was, Vice President Vance has been talking about all he can do is troll Trump. He has virtually no record that he would want to stand on. He has no specific policies. Let me just play a little bit of the VP talking about Newsom. Roll it.
The lesson of Donald Trump, the lesson of President Trump in American politics is you've got to be authentic to yourself. And when I see Gavin Newsom trying to act like Donald Trump, that's the opposite of authenticity. He's not trying to be Gavin Newsom, whoever that is. He's trying to be a fake carbon copy of Donald Trump, and it just doesn't work.
I don't even know if Newsom knows what he wants to be. Do you, Mehek?
I don't, David, and I actually wrote an op-ed about this. I think that Democrats like Newsom and so many others are trying to mimic MAGA, but this was an authentic movement that wasn't just born in a boardroom. It was born on the authenticity. Americans were asking for a generational leader, and President Trump leads from his gut. And Gavin Newsom has traded his slick hair for all caps. He's using vulgar language. He's not helping Californians today that are facing a housing crisis, school crisis, burning down streets and rioting. So without the same policies, if you continue to recycle that, you're actually not going to make progress for the American people. We don't need theatrics today. We want results, and that's what 2028 and beyond Republicans are going to continue to offer the American people. It's the American dream today.
Jake, I just want to give you a flavor of what we're likely to continue to hear from Governor Newsom. Roll that tape.
I don't think Donald Trump wants another election. You think for a second I have 24 Trump 2028 hats. His folks keep sending me. Who spends $200 million on a ballroom at their home and then leaves the house? This is serious, guys. This is serious.
This is serious. You know what I thought of when I heard him say that? The last comment, this is serious, was Biden. Biden maybe without the dementia, but Biden. I mean, that's the best he can do. I just can't believe that he's going to be the standard bearer. Do you?
Look, Democrats, they want to fearmonger instead of actually come up with policies and principles that they would stand by. I think people like Gavin Newsom are just grasping at straws at different ways they can try and get the base to be motivated. But at the end of the day, they want to use fear, use Trump's hyperbole and say, you know, this is what the end of the world is going to look like. No, the president's delivering, and this is kind of the last-ditch effort they have.
Yeah. Mehek, on a smaller scale, we have New York mayor wannabe, Andrew Cuomo, and he came out with an interesting comment today. He essentially said that if Mamdani is elected, the socialist candidate, if he's elected, we're going to end up with a Mayor Trump. Now, that's supposed to scare people to go with Cuomo, but a lot of people, I think a lot of voters in New York are so afraid of either guy that they would welcome a Mayor Trump because he would be forced to federalize the city to make it work.
I think as somebody who travels to New York frequently, voters are begging to federalize New York City. That's poor messaging. I think what Mamdani stands for is continued socialism and putting his hand in your pocket and continuing to implode. And it's a socialism that Americans are rejecting today. So you really want to talk about the American dream and how do we get people out of rentals and housing? How do we get individuals back to safer cities? And I think if the governor of New York knows what's good for her, she should raise her hand and say, please come in and help me. That's the way Democrats would win. If they raised their hand and said, President Trump, use your DC blueprint here in our state.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. But something else, Jake, that won't happen is any kind of federal bailout while Trump is president of New York City, because they are losing their tax base quickly.
Yeah, the federal government spends billions of dollars here in New York. We need to have a state government that actually protects its people, keeps its communities safe. I think Zoran Mamdani, his anti-police, anti-capitalist, anti-American rhetoric will continue to dismantle the fabric of this city, and we need to fight back any way we can.
Jake and Mehek, good to see you both. Thank you so much for being here. Appreciate it.